Hey everyone, Adam here, So Is Your Podcast. Really cool review for you today. I was pretty excited when this one came into my inbox. Huge thanks to Amazon for sending us the screener, giving us the opportunity to share it with you ahead of its release. And huge thanks to Amazon Studios for making this a reality. The screener I'm going to talk about today is a new season of Kids in the Hall. Kids in the Hall went off the air, 30 years ago or something like that. And it's stayed in the pop culture conversation ever since. These guys were an instrumental improv troupe in Toronto, Canada, and they made their way down into the States, in large part in thanks to Lorne Michaels. They had a long-running show that was co-produced. I believe it aired on Comedy Central, but the money came from HBO and the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Company, which is kind of odd. Anyway, new season of Kids in the Hall is what we're here to talk about. It debuts Friday, May 13th, 2022, which is pretty amazing that it came back. It has all the original members: Dave Foley, Kevin McDonald, Bruce McCullough, Mark McKinney, and Scott Thompson. I had to read that off a list so I didn't leave anybody out. Sorry, we should know who these comedy legends are. I was pretty excited to get into this one. I dove right in, and I liked Kids in the Hall when it used to be on, but I was never the most avid, rabid fan. I can't name all their skits. I can't tell you what season, what episode things happened. I never saw a live performance, but I liked what they did, and I like people like this in the comedy world. I think it's important to keep moving these kind of things forward in everyone's own unique way. So when the show kicks on and the theme song starts, I got a much larger nostalgia hit than I was ready for. I did not think it would have impacted me as much as it did, and I was just, grinning ear to ear from then. There's a little bit of a cold opening, which is very self-effacing and very funny, very on brand for what I remember of Kids in the Hall. And then they go into their sketch show, and some of it is callbacks to familiar things, and other things are brand new, and it's like they haven't missed a beat. They're just there, they're doing it, and they're both aware that it's been a long time and not. It's the best of both worlds. What I mean by that is they'll make jokes about their ages now, but they're still doing the same kind of comedy they did then. It's this awesome fine walking line thing. Obviously that cold open thing, I was being specific about the first episode of this new season, but I did watch the whole thing, and I don't want to give into specific sketches because, as with any sketch comedy show, it's the surprise that really sells it. And like other sketch comedy shows, not everyone's going to be a home run for you. Sorry to kind of bring the mood down. I just got to be honest with my review here. Overall, I really enjoyed it. It's 6 episodes. They're 20 to 25 minutes apiece. It's a quick watch. And not every skit was great, but more often than not, they were a hit as far as I'm concerned. I was never laughing out loud, but I'm also sitting on a couch watching this by myself. Comedy is really kind of a group experience, so if you had a bunch of friends that you used to watch Kids in the Hall with, bring them all back together. That's probably the way to do it. And another thing I would say is stretch these out. I don't know if Amazon's going to be dropping them all day and date, or if we're going to be getting one a week. I'm hoping it's the one a week formula, because I found I'd watched 3, took a break, watched 3. The first one, all in, edge of my seat, really into it, just happy with the anticipation that they were back. The second one, sitting back on the couch, a little bit more relaxed, still enjoying the ride. The third one, started kind of looking around for what else I had to do with my day. Not that the third one's sketches were worse than the first or second. It's just not something that needs to be consumed all at once, and that's something that I think we're missing in this age of binging. I would say to watch these week to week, even if they do dump them all at once, or at least give it a couple days in between, so you can really enjoy what they're doing and just turn your brain off and get into their intentionally stupid, that's not a knock, sense of humor for the 20-25 minutes as intended. I was really happy to see the original band back together. It's been a while, but these guys started when they were young enough that luckily everyone is back together. Nothing tragic has happened to any of them that took them out of being able to perform and do this show. They seem just as sharp as ever. I don't know what the behind-the-scenes writing staff looks like, though I do know that some of the original writers were back along with the original writers/performers, so that's also cool. Probably went a long way to keeping the flavor of the original show alive. It's still partially produced by the CBC, which CBC's making some questionable choices lately, and so is Canada as a country, let's be honest, but we don't need to get into all of here. Let's keep it fun. My only concern with the show, because a sketch comedy show having some skits that miss and some that don't, is personal preference. Ones that I thought were a miss might be your favorite sketches for your family, your friends, whatever. That's all personal preference. None of it is objectively bad, and that's an important thing to point out. But one thing I'm a little bit worried about is comedy is different now than it was then. You could say for the better, you could say for the worse. Probably not for the better lately. But if you weren't a fan of the original Kids in the Hall, I don't know if this is going to grab you. I don't know if a 16-year-old sits down, if they even watch shows and not just YouTube, puts on an episode of this, watches it, falls in love, and goes back to find the originals. I hope that's the case. I hope the old sketches find new light. I hope they find a whole new generation of people to watch them and to keep them alive. I mean, Monty Python's been going forever, and they resurface for generations every now and then, so I might be totally wrong at this. I'll be the first one to admit I'm the worst barometer for comedy. I have very specific comedy tastes. When I find a show or movie that I do find works for me comedically, I watch it into the ground until I can't stand it anymore. It's whatever. So I'm hoping Kids in the Hall finds a new audience with this new season, but if it is just a nostalgia hit for you, they had a big enough following that I believe will come back, because this just feels like you're hanging out with old friends again. It feels like they're picking up the pieces wherever they laid. It feels like they never stepped away, yet it's good to have them back. I'm saying a lot of contradictory things, so I'll just sum it up in a very simple way. Kids in the Hall, new season, Friday, May 13th, on Amazon Prime. It's everything you remember and loved about Kids in the Hall. It's all the same people. It's some of the same writers, at least maybe all the same. I don't know. And it's worth checking out. If you weren't a fan of Kids in the Hall in the first place, I would advise checking this out. Just get into it. Give it a few episodes. Enjoy it for what it is. And I'm not saying that it's not great and you kind of have to give them a pass. I'm just saying it's a different brand of humor than a lot of things that are on TV or on streamers now. So find out what is clicking for you and lean into that part of it and give it a shot. And I hope I'm wrong and that this does bring new audiences to the older skits, and the older audiences can come in and enjoy these new skits. This is one of 2 new Kids in the Hall videos that I'm posting today. I generally don't like doing 2 videos at once, but these go hand in hand, but are both standalone things that deserve their own video. So, Kids in the Hall, new season, check it out. Please make sure you like and subscribe. We have a lot more interviews, new movie coverage, screeners, Amazon screeners. Thanks again to Amazon Studios. A lot more great stuff coming your way. You're not going to want to miss out. Also, make sure you listen to So Wizard Podcast every single week wherever you get your podcasts. SoWizardPodcast.com is your resource for reviews, recommendations, videos, merchandise, and more. We love hearing feedback, so drop us a note in the comments, leave us something on social media. All the accounts can be found after the show and in the show notes. So Wizard Podcast can also be found on Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you get multiple monthly bonus shows, video and audio. And on a more personal note, a good friend and I have an ongoing comedy comic series. It's called Social Studies. It's a slice of life comedy comic. We keep it light and fun like the 90s cartoons that we grew up on, the 90s sitcoms that inspired us, inspired our writing, stylized in that vein. You have 9 issues available now at socialstudiescomic.com or on Comixology, including Comixology Unlimited, so check it out. Thanks.